Alright guys, my name is Livestream and welcome to basically this is a pre-recorded video, so all the voice in it is pre-recorded and it's mixed up because I was suffering from a cold because Miss Ducky gave it me and my older brother Nick. But anyway, this is me talking about Arkham City, and it's basically going to be talking about all the villains that if the actual broadcast goes well, I'll probably upload it anyway. But anyway, I'm gonna hit that fucking button, so let's go.
Bring it on. You don't stand a chance.
By now, everyone knows that Arkham City is one of the best DC crossover games in recent years, and one of the best games in the Arkham series. So when it was announced to be released on the PS4, I was hyped to see that the game was a reasonable price. Also known as Return to Arkham, it was bundled in the package with Arkham Asylum, the first game in the series, including all DLC characters and challenge maps. But also I was kind of pissed off that I spent over £30 getting every single DLC character and challenge map for the PS3. For Arkham City and Arkham Asylum. Nothing has really changed with the game except some minor tweaks like better controller schemes and better graphics. So I guess you're wondering why I'm talking about Arkham City. Well, it was going to be my first review, but also Arkham Origins was going to be my first review in the Batman series, since that is one of my favourite Batman games in the series, including Arkham City. But for different circumstances, I couldn't actually do the review on Arkham Origins. I was going to do it on all characters, including Deathstroke, Bane, Catwoman, and you know the rest, because there is a reference to Catwoman in Arkham Origins. You just got to find the DLC. So I'll get into the gameplay, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more about the Batman series, I hope you watch. But this is also talking about the characters' control schemes. So I hope you enjoy this video, guys. My name is Livestream. The problem with combat challenges is that Batman can sometimes be so overpowered that he plows through enemies like butter, yet some other characters like Robin are weak and slow. Yet you would think that Batman would be, with all that armour. Well, it's explained in the Arkham Knight that his armour is a fibre-based armour. That means he's got a lightweight armour and it's durable against bullets and attacks. This means his attacks are faster and they hit harder, but Robin himself is wearing a similar suit with a bulletproof vest and his trusty combat stick. This is why it seems he's slower compared to Batman. Robin has the same moveset as Deathstroke out of the Arkham Origins series, and hell, he was one of the combat challenges and Predator modes. It's very hard to get used to playing as Robin. He's got similar characteristics of Deathstroke, and he was a lot harder to learn. But if you already learned Deathstroke's moveset and pretty much know when to react to the situations you're in with the counter strikes or striking, you will have a lot of fun playing as Robin. This usually doesn't apply to Catwoman. Catwoman at times is really great to play as, especially in the main story with her fast moveset. She's a lot more faster than Batman himself. It's like she's always in free fall. But the problem with that is, at times when you are in a combo, you end up just failing your combo straight away. There's been plenty of times I've been playing as her and I've failed a combo. Or I've just mysteriously lost my critical strikes for no reason, and it kind of pisses me off. But she is really fun to play as. Same with Nightwing. He's a real fun character to have. They don't really talk that much, and that's the only problem with these DLC characters. They don't really have much to go off. You play the same Predator modes but with different challenges, or you play the same combat challenges, which they're all the same map, which kind of pisses me off, especially when you're playing as characters you've known from an animated series or known from the actual comic books, especially like Dick Grayson, who's one of my favourite Robins out of the whole Batman series. Plus, it's kind of hard to actually get used to Nightwing's sort of like combat set. He kind of like has this move where when you go into a beatdown, you actually stutter for like a second before you can actually strike your opponent, which kind of pisses me off. But there's no interactions with these characters, like there's no word of mouth at the end of it. It's kind of weird, but it's a lot of fun playing as these characters, so it is worth getting them as a DLC or worth getting the PS4 version for them. But the problem is there's no other challenge maps at the end of it. The campaigns are all the same, the ranked maps are all the same with the Predator modes, like I said before, and that's kind of a shame because I would love to see more stuff with the game. Robin does get his own sort of like campaign, but it's not very long. It's about an hour long compared to the original main game where it's about 6 hours, 7 hours long. This one is very short, and it is about Robin trying to save Batman, but I won't spoil it for you if you haven't seen it. Now I'm actually going to go into the history of the characters and all the characters that are in the game, mainly the allies and the baddies. So here.
It's all a lie. There's nothing wrong with you.
Nice of you to say, but you of all people should know there's plenty wrong with me.
Let's face it, everyone knows why Bruce Wayne became Batman, but for the sake of this video I'll tell you why. When Bruce saw his parents gunned down in front of him when he was a young boy, he vowed to get rid of all criminal scum in Gotham City. He trained extensively in mental and physical perfection in martial arts and criminal psychology, as well as detective work. This is why Dick Grayson was an ideal match to be the next Batman, having similar circumstances happen to his parents.
I look forward to breaking you.
Dick Grayson was the youngest in the family of acrobats known as the Flying Graysons. Dick watched a mafia boss named Tony kill his parents in order to extort money from the circus that employed them. After the tragic murder, Batman Bruce Wayne takes Dick in as his illegal adopted son and trains him to become his crime-fighting partner Robin. As the first son of Batman, Dick establishes himself as the leader of the Teen Titans, a team of teenage superheroes Later, Dick Grayson retired as Robin and became Nightwing in Bloodhaven. Young Tim Drake was in the audience the night the Flying Graysons were murdered. This is where he first witnessed Batman in action. Leaping out of the crowd, Batman subdued the murderer, only later for them to escape. Tim Drake was inspired by Batman and followed the Batman and Robin's chronicles closely. Eventually he learned their secret identities using his self-taught detective skills. Tim convinced Batman and Dick Grayson, now Nightwing, that a new Robin was needed in this never-ending battle for justice.
If you need me, you know where I am.
I know. Now go.
Catwoman is a Gotham City burglar who typically wears a tight one-piece outfit and uses a bullwhip for a weapon. She was originally characterized as a supervillain and an adversary of Batman, but she has been featured in series since the 1990s, which portrays her as an anti-hero. Selina Kyle was an orphan who learned to survive on the mean streets of Gotham City. She turned to thievery to survive. Determined to do it in style, she learned martial arts and trained in gymnastics to perfect her style.
Now that they're all taken care of, it's time to get what I came for out of that safe. Try and get one over on me, will you, Harv? I don't think so.
Get your filthy paws off that now.
The only way to get by in this place is to...
District Attorney Harvey Dent was one of Batman's strongest allies in Gotham City, until a criminal threw acid in his face, horrendously scarring him for life. Also at the same time suffering from schizophrenia, he later was reborn as Two-Face, a schizo criminal mastermind who relies on his good luck charm, a two-headed trick coin that decides his victim's fate.
No gun, Harv? Shame. This is gonna hurt.
Two guns, bitch!
The Joker is portrayed as a criminal mastermind and is introduced as a psychopath with a warped, sadistic sense of humour. The character became a goofy prankster in the late 1950s in response to regulations by the Comics Code Authority, before returning to his darker roots during the early 1970s. As Batman's nemesis, the Joker has been part of the superhero's defining stories, including the murder of Jason Todd, the second Robin, and he paralyzed one of Batman's friends, Barbara Gordon, Jim Gordon's daughter. There has been various possible origin stories during his decades of appearances in the Batman series. The most common story involves him falling into a tank of chemical waste, which bleaches his skin white and turns his hair green and his lips bright red.
Never heard of it.
Hold tight.
Out of touch!
Harleen Quinn is a psychiatrist and was assigned to treat the Joker, but instead Harley became obsessively fixated on the Joker, believing she was in love with him. She helped him escape Arkham Asylum and took on her own criminal identity as Harley Quinn. Quinny can be very violent and unpredictable. Her only motivation is getting the Joker's approval. Because of Joker's violent, psychotic nature, in some ways this makes Harley Quinn another one of Joker's victims, but a very violent victims. The Penguin is an eccentric criminal mastermind known for his shady deals and businesses. Oswald was sent overseas for school education as a boy. When his family was hit hard, Oswald immersed himself into the criminal education on the London streets. Years later, he re-emerged as the Penguin, a black market arms dealer in Gotham City, fabricating illegal financial activities that funded the underworld.
To join me in the Iceberg Lounge so I can kick your ass again. Enjoy the copsicle.
Please.
Obsessive-compulsive need for attention. Edward Nygma is determined to be the cleverest criminal in Gotham City. Batman has proven to be a worthy foe, capable of unraveling all riddles, traps and mind games, but Enigma is dedicated to creating a mystery that will stump the Dark Knight, even if this means he has to kill someone to do it.
So, shall we begin? I'm an instrument whose music always comes from the heart. What am I? Well done. See, you can do it. Solve enough of my carefully constructed conundrums, and I'll tell you where the rest of my hostages are.
Over a century ago, a murderer, Cyrus Gold, sought to escape justice by hiding in a slaughter swamp, where he met a fate worse than death. A mysterious force doomed the now immortal Solomon Grundy to an endless cycle of death and rebirth. Robbed of his memories, he adopted the name of a nursery rhyme.
Christened on Tuesday, married on Wednesday.
I found him down there when I bought this place. Comes in handy.
Victor Fries was a brilliant cryogenicist whose beloved wife Nora was stricken with a fatal degenerative disease. He placed her in a suspended animation whilst obsessively trying to find a cure for her, but the corporation he worked for pulled the plug, whilst at the same time causing an accident that transformed Victor into a cold-blooded human hybrid. At normal room temperature, his body would wither and decay. This means he must keep his body temperature at below zero. He wields a number of gadgets, such as a freeze gun and a protective armor that shields him from attacks from behind, blowing you away with a shield of ice.
I'm afraid I cannot do that, Batman. You have given me your last order.
This is not a time for negotiation.
Ra's al Ghul. Little is known about the early years of the nearly immortal Ra's al Ghul. He is the leader of the League of Assassins, whose name means the Demon Heads. He has lived many centuries due to the mystical Lazarus Pit that restores his youth. He is a brilliant master of strategy and martial arts. Ra's al Ghul's goal is to save the world from devastation by destroying most of the humans' population. He recognizes Batman as a worthy foe and ally, yet Batman does not accept Ra's al Ghul's demonic worldviews.
Use my sword. Take it all.
No.
And that is your final answer?
Hugo Strange claims to have a unique insight on the criminal mind from years of clinical studies. He persuaded Mayor Sharp that the Arkham City would be the only way to eliminate all criminal activities as well as get rid of all vigilantes like Batman.
Me, I guarantee everyone will know your secret.
Zsasz is a true psychopath. He grew up in a life of ease and nothingness. He became a serial killer after he got thrown out of the Penguins Club and nearly got mugged. He carves a mark for each of his victims into his own body, and he's saving a special spot for Batman. But I'm gonna let you listen to the audio tapes and it'll explain a bit about Victor Zsasz if you never heard of him out of the comic books, but here you go.
Did I ever tell you about my first kill, Batman? No? As I am sure you are aware, my parents were dead and I was rich. So rich I could have anything I wanted, but of course, all I wanted was them back. I now know that that was impossible, of course, that their death served a higher purpose. But back then, I had yet to experience the joy of cold steel cutting through warm flesh. I had no idea how I could save these people from the relentless misery of their existence.
You should have stayed that way.
Really? Then I'll stop now. Find another telephone, Batman. Goodbye. You made it. I think I will continue my story. I feel the need to talk, to confess maybe. I was rich and alone, but not for long, of course. I took to gambling, or maybe it took to me. If only I had been good at it. I may not be where I am today. As my life spiraled out of control, I desperately formed a plan. A plan to win back my parents' money and be happy again. It didn't work, of course. Plans like that never do. But as I stood outside the Iceberg Lounge on that hot hope, maybe. The Iceberg Lounge was crawling with the disgusting flesh of humanity. You could find anything there. If you had the money, of course. At the beginning, I seemed to be winning. The cards all went my way, and I found myself at the owner's table. Some reason I thought I would win, that he would play fair. I looked around the table. I saw the people I was against. Card sharks, thugs, princes, and the disgusting midget who ran the place. One by one, they all lost or folded. The chips were piling up, and it was just him and me. They called him the Penguin, even back then. He had both eyes, of course. That little accident hadn't happened yet. And both of them were looking at me when I put down my cards. 6 of clubs. 6 of diamonds. He looked scared. He leaned forward, and I could smell the cigar stench on his breath. The 6 of spades, and finally, the 6 of hearts. I felt good. And then he started laughing. He belched out smoke, and he put his cards down on the table. Card by card, my heart sank. A 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a damn 7! Straight flush ended me there. I was lost and thrown out into the city to die, penniless. Can you imagine what it was like, Batman? I was numb. I'd lost everything, and I was alone, crying like a baby staggering through the streets of the city, until I found the answer that I had been looking for. I stood there on the Sprang Bridge, looking out at the sea. I felt the warm breeze on my skin, and it felt right. I looked down and imagined myself falling into the blissful arms of my mother. And then he appeared.
A bit incest that was. Falling into his arm of his mother, the weirdo.
My money! Can you believe it? I looked into his cold, desperate eyes, and I saw something familiar. Something inevitable. I saw oblivion. I saw that we are all the same, stuck on a miserable loop that demands salvation. So I gave it to him.
Horror film icon Basil Karlo went mad when he uncovered plans for his classic film was going to be remade with different actors. Playing the lead role, he took on the mask as the movie's villain, Clayface, and killed several of the remake's cast and crew before being stopped by Batman and Robin. Later, Carlo stole and injected himself with an experimental drug that transformed him into a mass of living clay that can alter any human and mimic anything and anyone. The game straight away puts you into a fight against Two-Face's foes. Overall, the game's fighting mechanics is satisfying and really easy to learn. Punch, counter, repeat. And if you want to beat someone to a bloody pulp, you can. And even that, you can hear the bones break, for fuck's sake. But I find myself enjoying the Predator modes a lot more than I do with combat. In Predator mode, you can use all sorts of gadgets to disarm your opponents, as well as knocking them unconscious. It's very satisfying to know you can just go through an entire room of enemies like you're just skiing down a slope. And even the cutscenes in the game are enjoyable, especially the ones with the Joker in. And the roster of villains is good, except from the Riddler. He pisses me off. Collecting all them goddamn trophies is tiresome and boring at times, and when you think you've got them all, another one crops up and bites you in the ass, cause you've forgotten one that you've missed in the fucking steel mill. But then you collect it and then you forget about all the Easter eggs planted all over the place. Like, there's one of the Scarecrow, there's even the fear toxin. I think the developers were thinking about making Dark Knight before they even went through Arkham City. This is one thing great about this game, is you can actually sit back for a couple of hours and play it and actually enjoy the story. There's a lot of stuff coming back from the animated series, especially with the Joker and his sick, twisted sense of humour, which is a lot of fun to listen to, especially in his cutscenes. And Harley Quinn's really good, but you don't really see much of her. Catwoman is not too bad in the main story either. She gets her own episodes, Harley Quinn does. Even Poison Ivy comes into this game. Even though if you don't have the DLC, you can actually see where Poison Ivy is, and it is one of the Riddler's sort of like side trophies. And I really enjoy just swooping around, gliding around, beating up thugs and collecting all the trophies, even though they do get boring. And you do get campaign stories as well. Like there's the 6 story. You get a little bit of information from the comic books into the game, and you have a lot of fun. But overall, there is some problems with the games, especially if you play it from the beginning to the end. You're gonna see a lot with the remake to the PS4, a lot of Catwoman being in it. She is kind of cool. I remember getting it for the PS3 and I didn't really like her story. I'd rather play Harley Quinn's Revenge. That was a lot of fun to play as well. There is some downside to this game. The combat can get a little bit competitive compared to everything else, especially the combat challenges. Predator modes are the same, but they're enjoyable. You gotta use different gadgets to get through it or get the trophies. But I do recommend this game, especially if you're starting out on Batman. I would say go to Arkham City first before you play the first game. The first game didn't really do it for me. I didn't like the combat system. It was a lot slower compared to this one. This one's more fast paced with his free flow, and there's also combat. And there is one best combat move you can get, and that is disarm, where you basically break a knife or a riot shield or whatever. It is a real good move to learn and also use in combat training. Well, combat challenges, I should say. And it is fun meeting all the villains. There is some of them that I never really knew about, like Zaz, the psychopath that basically marks himself. I never knew about that character until I played Arkham City. I played Arkham City before I played Arkham Asylum, so no wonder. But he got me interested into the comics a lot more. I read a lot more of the comics about Batman going against Zaz and the Riddler and stuff like that. I really went back to the old days when I was a kid and used to read a lot of comic books back then. But they were really old ones. Or I used to watch the animated series of Batman, which now I'm going to go into the costumes. So at the start of but before that, you can select from 10 costumes, which include his Arkham City Batsuit, his animated series suit, the Dark Knight Returns, Year 1 Batman, Earth 1 Batman, Batman Beyond, 1970s Batsuit, Batman Inc. and Sinestro Corps, I think it is. As for Catwoman and Robin, they only get 2, which are both their animated series one and one unique one. Catwoman's is Long Halloween one, and Robin is Red Robin. For Nightwing, it is just his animated series costume. These costumes have no difference to their combat style or their Predator modes. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, Miss Ducker. Yeah, I had a real bad cold, and I did really want to talk about Batman quite a lot. I tried to get my friend Shady in. he was going to talk about Batman with me because he's a big fan of Batman as well as me, but not as big as me. I'm obsessed with that fucker. But I am going to reply back to your comments. Yeah, I kind of wish there was different maps for each character instead of the same map. There is like a difference towards them, and mainly the same difference is when you're doing a Predator mode, you have a different challenge. So with Batman, it'll be like a smoke screen and then silent takedown. As for Catwoman, could be, oh, you got to use your bullwhip, knock them to the ground, and then knock them out. That's pretty much different. Alright guys, thank you for watching. That is the only difference with the challenges. But they are the same maps, but they all can go out differently. Especially when you're playing as like Robin. Like Robin is really slow, but he is really good at his Predator modes, especially with like his Batarang and shit like that. His combat is not that good though. And as for Catwoman, the only fault I got with Catwoman is she hasn't really got many costumes. She's only got her Arkham City one, a long Halloween one, and an animated series one, which is my favourite out of all of them, because I've been recently watching the old Batman animated series. I've seen her quite a lot in that, but because of her new outfit that's more weighed down with armour and gadgets, she actually does run pretty slow. But for animated one, she actually has a real fast free flow and you can get some decent combos in. But the only problem with combos is like she's shit. And being the Red Hood and being the ex-comedian too. Yeah, Jason Todd got killed by the Joker. Well, everyone assumed he got killed by the Joker, but he actually didn't. He actually turned into the Red Hood, and now he just doesn't give a fuck. He's pretty much a villain. Not a good guy, but he will beat down any thug like Black Masked thugs or the Joker's thugs. He will kill him. He won't let him survive. And he is a real good character in the Arkham Knight. I loved his episodes and I loved playing as him. He was really good character, and I didn't really know much about Jason Todd until I actually played Arkham Knight, and then I started watching more of the animated series films and a little bit more about him, which he is really good. And if you didn't know, Talia, Ra's al Ghul's daughter, is Jason Todd's mum, basically. That's how they played it out in The Son of Batman. He was Batman. Well, Bruce Wayne and Talia had a thing in Metropolis, you know, where fucking Superman lives. They had a thing. She ended up getting pregnant, ended up having Jason Todd. Jason lived with the League of Assassins with his grandfather Ra's al Ghul, and then he wanted to find his dad Bruce, and he went out to Gotham and he had a massive fight with Batman, basically, and Batman pretty much got his ass whooped by his own son. But later on you find out that he is like got the same moveset as like Batman, but he is a real good character and I love him. As for characters' history, I had to look them up, and a lot of the times I was watching the animated series. So with Carlos Clayface, I actually watched the animated series, the episode where he turned into Clayface, and I really enjoyed that. I recommend, if you're gonna go and watch anything, watch episode 22 of animated series, and that's about Clayface, one of my favourite ones. Same with the Killing Joke and stuff like that. And as for Zaz, he was actually one of my favourite characters, only because when I came into Arkham City, I didn't really remember a lot of the old characters, like the old villains. I remembered like Mr. Freeze, Penguin, and Joker, obviously, and Harley Quinn, my big fantasy crush. But as for Zaz, I didn't really know much about him, and then I sort of like played the game, had him as a side story, and there is a mention of like Killer Croc in here. You just got to find the the Easter egg. I kept on saying DLC and I meant to say Easter egg. Same with Arkham Origins. You do get in the DLC Cold Heart, you do get a little Easter egg towards Catwoman. You don't really see her, but you see like a glimpse of her bullwhip as the weapon as she uses, so that's pretty cool. And I did want to go on to that, but Zaz is one of the most interesting characters because he's not like the Penguin. Like, he doesn't know criminal education, like he didn't learn from the streets, or he didn't learn how to launder money. He's just basically a fucking weird psychopath who like kills people and marks himself because he's a fucking weirdo. And especially that bit when he's talking about his mother, that is just incest shit right there. But yeah, he is one of my favourite villains. As for like Mr. Freeze, I kind of like Mr. Freeze, but the problem is they didn't really do him that well in Arkham City. They did him a lot better in Arkham Origins. Definitely when it came to the DLC of Cold Heart, that was based off one of his episodes in the animated series. Now they had 3 episodes for him. One was Cold Heart, but it was called Freeze Your Heart, I think. And that was in 1970s Batman. And then the recent Batman, they made 2 parts to him, Mr. Freeze and Freeze Your Heart, it was called. And I watched them recently, so I know about that when I was trying to do the review to Batman. And this just makes me laugh, this fucking scene, because like literally there's a glitch in the game where the enemy's bodies just disappear for no random reason, and the reason I did like restart is just to show that, because I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, like I was saying about Mr. Freeze, he is one of my favourite characters, but he's more one of my favourite characters in Arkham Origins and Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight, he has his own sort of like side mission, which is great. If you ever get Arkham Knight, always get the DLC of the Most Wanted, because you get the Mad Hatter, you get fucking Mr. Freeze, you even get Two-Face, which the problem with this game is Two-Face is one of my favourite characters, well, one of my favourite villains, and he doesn't really get much dialogue in this game. Yeah, he's at the beginning with Catwoman. If you got the DLC, he actually captures Catwoman, so that explains how Catwoman ends up with Two-Face. But then there's not much dialogue towards anything else. It's just him and Catwoman, and then he gets his ass whooped. But my favourite dialogue of him is, "I've got 2 guns, bitch," and that is it. And everyone knows that the Joker is like one of my favourite characters in the whole of Batman. He always has been. I just think he's got real good dialogue, especially in this game, and like some of the jokes like people won't get, but there are some of his jokes are from the actual cartoons, so it could go back way back from when they first did Brave and Bold and shit like that, and it, you know, it's kind of cool. But Nightwing, you know, they kind of like toned him down quite a lot, which was a disappointment because Nightwing is one of my favourites of like allies and shit like that. But that's all I really much can really say about Nightwing. I just feel like gameplay is worth playing if you just want to spend a couple of hours, you know, prattling about and kicking the fuck out of people and meeting all these villains. Deadshot's in it, but he's not really in it that much. You only get like one side mission with him, and the most second funniest character out of the whole series would have to be the Mad Hatter. Like, he's in it, but he only gets one side mission, which is a disappointment. And this is a problem with the like the Arkham series. Like, in every single Arkham series game, they've had the Riddler, and he's always planted all these fucking trophies or these data packs, and it's like, dude, you're so fucking boring. Like, yeah, it would be kind of cool if they had like Jim Carrey playing as like the Riddler, but they don't even fucking have him in it. It's just stupid and boring. But, you know, what can you do to pass the time? You just put the fucking Riddler in, plant all these trophies everywhere. But it's kind of cool that you have to learn how to use all your gadgets. There is quite a lot of gadgets in this game, which, you know, is fun to play and use, I should say. But that's about it, really. There's no really much else to this game. Arkham Origins quite a lot. Before I made this video, yeah, it took me a week, but I suffered from a cold, so like I got some of my words mixed up, especially when it came to like talking about it, because I was pre-recording the video as well as like pre-recording my voice, so it kind of fucked up when it came to like talking about the history of the actual characters. But as for like Batman, everyone knows his backstory. Most of the people know the Joker's backstory and Two-Face's one, but you know, it was kind of fun making this video. I had a lot of fun playing the game. My brother's just sent a message saying I might start a YouTube channel at some point. Not sure when. It depends what you're gonna do, bro. Like, me, I play a lot of weird games and shit like that. Like Murder Soul Suspect, I play quite a lot of that. Well, I have been for the last week, been playing that, as well as doing this stupid video that I'm actually kind of disappointed with, because me having a cold and not being able to get the words out right, well, words out properly, kind of made it feel like I did a shit ass job at it. But yeah, if he's gonna start one, it just depends on what games he's gonna do. If he's doing fucking Far Cry, I'm out, man. That shit I just don't get. Like, I tried to play the game, couldn't get along with it. Same with fucking Fallout. Like, what the fuck is with all this hype with Fallout 76, man? It's just basically a toned down version of Skyrim, except from Skyrim you're using weapons like swords and bows, and with Fallout you're using guns and fucking armor. What the fucking point in that? But yeah, I was meant to talk about Batman, but I didn't really know what to talk about towards Batman. But I think I'm gonna end this video here. Well, this little stream, because I couldn't actually get this video uploaded. I thought I'd live stream it and see how well that goes. Doesn't look like it went that well, to be honest, but I'm not that bothered. I've done it. End of. I'm not restarting to do all this video again. I'm not restarting Arkham City. I had to get used to playing the controls again, just because I've been playing quite a lot of Arkham Origins, and that's a lot more faster with its gameplay, so I had to get used to like playing as Batman and Catwoman and shit like that in this game. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here. Thanks for watching anyway, guys. My name is Conlovosi, so peace.